once you've entered the circle of spiritual life, there's like a protective thing around us. Krishna's divine energy, which is very subtle, brings you closer and closer and closer. But once you don't go with that flow anymore, once you lose the humility, you start finding fault with people, Krishna kicks you out of the circle. And he gives you Maya covers you and gives you an excuse for being out of that circle. Oh, those devotees, they were narrow-minded, or they were too fanatical, or they come up with 1,000 different excuses. You are personally kicked out by Lord Krishna outside of the circle. And when you want to come back inside the circle, it's got to become in a type of humility. And unless you have that, because you can't approach God without that deep humility, period.
There you go.
You can't approach God without deep humility. You have to shed that arrogance to let you in. And once I get a little arrogant and start finding fault with everybody else, out of the circle. Out.
Get out of the circle.
You get out of that circle.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. It's Tuesday, March 11, 2025. This is episode 1551. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Kaustubha. How are you?
I'm doing good, Raghunath. Good to be
Beautiful
here.
day to Beautiful day to serve Lord Krishna.
It sure is.
Krishna, what would you like from me today?
Please don't be too demanding.
Yeah. There's something about the energy here that it's just hard for me to concentrate. You think like I'm going to go home, it's going to be... No, I felt like more concentrated when I was in India. It's hard. It's hard. Mara's going to work with me today. And just like, okay, here's your schedule. You don't do anything outside of this. From 9 to 10, this is what you're doing. From 10 to 11, this is what you're doing. I need that type of like discipline. Because it's so easy for my mind to splay. I think it's a real symptom of Kali Yuga, isn't it? Splayed mind, splayed intelligence.
Yeah. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrutaha.
Manda bhagya hi upadrutaha. The mind is always disturbed. Anyway, and then you start to feel like I can't speak for the world here, but when you don't do worthy things, you don't feel worthy, and you feel like, God, I'm just wasting time. Yeah, like a little. That's
what's been going on since you got back, Raghunath.
It's just like very hard to focus, and I'm not good at like little detailed. Like I have to redo my passport.
Well,
not good at like these little things like this. Like these things, I just sit in front of my computer for hours, just like spinning out of control.
Maybe you just need a little downtime, just a little bit. You do the podcasts, and otherwise try to. Maybe you just jumped right back into it, and maybe you need a little downtime.
I got like 2 months of mail to catch up on. I've got like, I think I am taking downtime. I don't know. I think, you know what? I think I need outdoor time, Mara. What do you think? You're not so talkative today.
Yeah, I think that's what I suggested yesterday.
She did.
Now that it's nice and warm out.
Yeah, the weather shifted. When I go outside, I just feel like a whole new person. I got to do something. Stack wood, split wood. Cut down a dead tree. Something like that will make me feel better.
Okay.
Anyway,
you're gonna be okay, Raghu. You're gonna be okay.
Thank you. I think so. I have a good ability to pop back in the morning. I sort of recalibrate. I'm like my mornings are very strong. Wake up, I chant.
Yes.
I work out a little bit.
Then just while you're in the transition period, then like for 2-3 days, maybe 2 is better, but you just get your morning thing done, get the podcast done, and whatever else that's a wash. It's like,
you know what? Yeah.
Go outside, roll around a little bit, and then you'll be okay.
That. You know what I've started doing? I haven't started yet, but I'm about to start it. I'm starting swimming.
Where do you swim?
I just got a YMCA membership.
Now, how many times are you actually going to go there? That's the question.
What kind of encouragement is that? What the hell? That's not what I expected from you.
It's typical, though. Not just you, people in general.
Okay. So you want to put that on me right now at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Well,
Why
I
not say,
just
you know
asked the
what?
question.
It's a good door to open.
It's
Good
a great door
Good
to
job.
open,
That's what I
Raghunath.
need to hear. Did I
Way
need to hear
to
what he just
go.
said?
Way to go.
Why would he say
Okay.
that?
I'm sorry.
Why
I'm
wouldn't he
sorry.
encourage me?
I encourage you, Raghunath. I encourage you. Go for
I
it.
wasn't expecting.
You show the world,
I wasn't
including me, that you're going to swim like crazy.
I'm not even saying I'm going to swim like crazy. I'm saying I need
Do some
to
good swimming. Yeah. You got good feet for swimming.
I'm not talking to you today. Let's just
I've
do the show.
apologized.
No, it's over. It's over. That's not what I needed.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
He's sorry.
I'm trying to give you what you need now.
You got some encouragement on the message board.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah,
Yesu.
everybody's
That's
encouraging
great.
you.
Thank you, Martine. You guys are friends.
Oh, wow. You see, Saraswati saying truth, Kaustubha. Like, I didn't say you. I just said,
Of course.
It's
Imagine if
common.
you said to me, you know what? I'm going to start eating healthier. Like, yeah, well, you'll never do that. No one does that.
I didn't say that.
Good luck with that.
Raghunath,
I'm telling you,
I
I'm going through a hard
apologize. Do you
time. It's
accept
hard
my
for me to be
apology?
focused. I'm
Do you
saying make
accept my apology?
a good step in the right direction.
I'm sorry.
And you say, yeah, how long are you going to go to that? How long that's going to last for?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do you forgive me now?
Words have weight.
Practicing forgiveness. Oh man, he
Words
doesn't. That
have
means
weight.
no. Words have weight. Let me share some other heavy
I
words.
keep you
Raghunath,
up here. I keep you high. I keep you
Raghunath,
high.
you can
So
do
your
it.
words are heavier.
Oh,
they
that's so
have more
sweet of you to
weight.
say.
Your
Raghunath,
words have more weight to me.
I really hadn't finished my thought. My real thought was, that's the way it commonly goes, but you can do it. You can do it, Raghunath.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
You're right. That's the way it does commonly go. But
Yes,
I could
but
do
you
it.
can do it. And I'll help you do it. If I can help, let me know. Should I give
It's
you
important, huh?
friendship, like we help each other out. This is what bros do, like, hey man, how's the swimming going?
Yeah, there we go.
I knew you weren't gonna. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. No, I'm gonna be there for you, Raghunath. What time do you like to swim? Like, what time of the day are you gonna?
I got to find a good time. It might be the evening time. It might be the evening because
evening. Okay.
Because I can't read.
That's a
in the
nice way to
evening.
wind
I can't
down.
study in the evening, but I can listen to lectures on the way to the place. It's only 30 minutes away. I can listen to lectures coming back.
Okay, so you make a whole program.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that. You're gonna do it, Raghunath. Here, punch it.
Thank
in,
you.
Like, right
Thank
there.
you. I'm getting a thumbs up from Cabrera G too. Thank you, Cabrera G.
Yes. All right. I'll check in tomorrow. See how it went today. Okay. So
Okay.
that wasn't
good.
I didn't mean that.
Okay. I don't
I
need
meant that in a good way.
micromanagement. I don't need a spy cam. Okay, let's continue on. Mara, you got any good announcements?
Margie,
Yeah. Join our Sage community.
are you going to swim with him? That'll help a
Uh,
lot.
I
if
got
you-
her membership too.
Yeah,
Good.
I will. Although I've just been under the weather, so I'm trying to recover my health first.
Or maybe he needs a little space.
Yeah.
Did
you get a
Sometimes it's good for
membership?
stuff separate. Yeah, it's like a family membership.
Yeah, everybody in the household.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, what you
Have you
got?
checked out our Sage community platform? If Wisdom of the Sages has been helpful in your life and you'd like to contribute to our work, please log on to wisdomofthesages.com and become a supporting member of the Sage community platform. For a minimum $5 monthly contribution or a maximum donation of whatever your heart desires, you get access to a wide range of live and archived classes, community chat, merchandise, retreat registrations, and much, much more. Log on to wisdomofthesages.com and join today.
Thank you for those who have joined. Thanks for those who support our community. It really means a lot to us. It's how we get to do this. So thank you very much. There's some very, very solid people contributing, even a few dollars a month, but some people give a lot more, and we're very grateful. Thank you.
Very grateful.
Okay. You ready for
Got
the
a
nugget
nugget.
today, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, it's from the Mahatma.
The Mahatma. Oh, nice one. The weak can never forgive. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong.
Mhm.
The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. Well, the one thing is forgiveness means I got to get my ego out of the way. But I can't help but going back to the hotel story that me and Mara were staying in Jaipur. It was this beautiful
Oh
Haveli.
yeah.
A Haveli is a beautiful old family house, giant family stone house. It looks like a castle of sorts. And I told you half of it was perfect, looked like a restored villa, and the other half was like in disrepair. And it was because I found out later that the two uncles that owned it were feuding, and they were feuding. It was a generational feud.
That
And
happens in
yesterday,
India. Like,
it happens. Well, you know
it,
why? Because the families are in America, it doesn't
it's so
happen so much
close.
because we're like, yeah, if I don't like my brother, I just never talk to him again. But like,
Right.
but the it's interesting, like the
They do the
kindness.
family business together. They live in the same home.
Yeah, they live in the same home, and you're hoping that your children will be, loving. Every parent wants their kids to love each other, and sometimes that just doesn't
Yeah.
work out well. And
Yeah.
so then they leave them these joint businesses, these joint homes, and they just have
Right.
this hatred towards each other. And we do. And yesterday we were mentioning like all we can do is work on ourselves. We have to do what's in our circle of
Influence.
influence, not our
Yeah.
circle of concern. Is, oh man, what do we do at this hotel? It's falling apart. What are our guests going to think? There's like black mold on the walls, and ours is painted really nicely. And so we do have a lot of power when we start worrying about us. Matter of fact, for example, using that example, what could that person who owns the hotel do? In their hearts could forgive, and they in their hearts can act in such a way. It's hard to
It's not
forgive.
worth it. Right.
It's hard to
Let
hold
it go.
resentment towards people who are kind. It's hard to hold resentment towards people who just are trying. And
Right.
you can write letters, you can talk to people. There's a lot of work that can be done, but you really have to own whatever your part is in it. An apology isn't, well, I know you've done this to me, but I'm sorry for what I did. An apology means I'm going to 100% own what I've done, and whatever you've done, I'm going to let that go. You have to let go of what you've got against somebody else, and you just say, this is what I've done. This is
Okay.
how it's affected us. If you actually zoom out and see our relationship, this is how it's affected us. It's
Hmm.
not going to get any better, right?
Hmm.
And you see this happening with wars between nations, that these bitterness never gets resolved. There's no peace treaty. It's just you have to learn to empathize. You have to learn to put what you've been going through aside and hear what they've been going through.
Hmm.
And until we get that, there can be really no peace, no resolution. But the interesting thing is, sometimes no matter how much you want to forgive or even want some type of peace, other people just may not want peace in their life. And so you have to at least offer up that you have to, at least for our own sanity, we forgive. For our own state of sanity / serenity, we must forgive, or else we're always holding on to this this bitterness in the heart, and that just
Sure.
ruins our well-being. That ruins our peace of mind.
Right. All right, Raghunath, thank you. You forgave me. I appreciate that.
Took some time, but I had to like
We
internalize it.
worked it out. We
We worked it out.
We worked it out before the announcements, so that was good.
Yeah, I think if you can relinquish your resentment before the announcements, we're doing pretty good. Try not
Okay.
to offend right
Before
after
the announcement.
right when I say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Try not to make an offense come right out of the gates there,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
I think we're going to do good.
Okay. Thank you. I was
But I
I
shut down. I was like, I'm not talking to you for the rest
for a
of the
second
show.
you shut down. I knew
did.
it was it was going to be a tough show if I didn't really apologize for it right then. I spent time with Tara Prabhu, who's up here now, in
Nice.
Rishikesh. Yeah.
Nice.
We went to the Ganga today.
Does this have something to do with the nugget, or are you just telling stories?
It has something to do with the nugget.
Oh, okay.
Right. So we were standing there in the Ganga, and it's so, oh man, sometimes, Raghunath, the timelessness of this place it just descends on you,
Yeah, for
that
sure.
for centuries and centuries and centuries, sages and avatars You know, you could just like where we were, you could just look across the river, see that road right there? That's the road that the Pandavas walked on when they were going up into the mountains, right?
It's very, very cool. That's the road the Pandavas walked to Badrinath before they left their bodies. And
Yeah.
think about all the thousands of
Pilgrims.
devotees or spiritual practitioners who were just like, I'm going to do the same thing. A lot of people
Yeah.
walked that road to their death.
I mean, countless people.
Yeah.
You know, over the centuries. And so it was a joy to be standing waist deep in the beautiful greenish, bluish waters of the Ganga, ice cold.
It's a beautiful
know?
color this time of year too, because
It's
you
so
don't get
beautiful,
all
yeah.
the muddiness that you get in
Yeah.
October.
Yeah. Although
But it's
October when
cold.
we were there. Yeah, it was
But it's
cold.
cold.
And so and we started talking, and we're talking about what we're reading in Bhagavatam right now. And
Mm.
he shared, he zoomed in on something. I said, oh, click. Thank you, Tara. You know, it's like, but you and I have been talking about, there was Prashadra, there was Sukanya, there's Ambarish. In each of these cases, you know, Prashadra was trying to protect the cows, and it was dark, and in risking his own life to protect the cow, he thought he was killing a tiger, and the next morning he found out, oh no, I killed the cow. He got cursed for it. He accepted it. He didn't complain. He didn't whine. He didn't get upset. He, in a sense, you could say he forgave. You know, like he didn't hold any grudge. You know, and he was blessed. You know, incredibly
Sure.
blessed. Sukanya, she was just a girl fooling around, poking a little stick in the ground. Turned out somehow there was a sage underneath there. What? Is that her fault? You know, and she ends up having to marry him. He's an old man. She does it without any hesitation. She does it, you know, accepts her fate, and everything turns around and she gets blessed. There was another story before Ambarish. We skipped over Raghunath. I didn't really mean to skip over, but I realized there's another story about Ambarish's father, whose name was Nabhaga. And he had this thing where like he had like 4 or 5 other brothers, and he went off to, like, he was kind of raised in the Gurukula, being raised by the sages.
Mm.
And when he came back years later, like all the other brothers had kind of like already like cut up all the wealth for themselves. Like they had kind of taken all the inheritance from the father, who was very old at this point, and kind of claimed their own pieces, and they really left nothing for him. They said, well, you can have dad, you know, which was basically like, oh, you can have the responsibility for taking care of an old man and nothing else, you know. And his father said to him, you know, you just got cheated, you know, but there's a sacrifice that you can go to, and at the end they just give all the wealth to whoever asked for it. Go there. And he went there and he got it. And then on his way back home, he bumped into this character, and this character claimed it all. And he said, well, this my father told me if I went there, you know, I'd be given this, and I was. I believe it's rightfully mine, but we can go talk to my father if you want. So they go talk to the father, and the father says, this is Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, you know, in one sense, he has the right to everyone. In one sense, all the sacrifice is done for him. So it's his.
Really
and then rather than saying like, enough of this, I can't take it anymore. It's like I get screwed over every time. He said, oh, well, if this is Lord Shiva's, then I gladly give it to Lord Shiva. And he starts offering his prayers and his respects to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva just says, you know what, it's all for you. And he gets super blessed by Lord Shiva. And then, of course, you have Ambarish, right, who's just trying to do his everything right. Care for his guest right, honor his fast right, carry out his vows right. He's doing everything right, thoughtfully, conscientiously, respectfully. Sure. Still, he gets cursed. And then we see that he accepts it by not even being slightly disturbed. And this message, you know, whether we want to call it forgiveness, it takes strength. You know, whether we want to call it just like letting go and not becoming upset, it takes strength. But what Tara said to me was this. We were talking about all this standing in the wall, you know? And then he said, this is the 9th canto. This is the canto just before you enter into Krishna's Leelas. You know, if we want to enter into Krishna's Leelas, then we have to take the lessons from these souls, that as long as our mind is caught up in petty things, you know, even they may seem not so petty, from the broader perspective, they're petty. This is how we develop. This is how we let go of everything that we need to let go of, to have an open heart to enter into Krishna's Leelas. You know, just like sometimes we tell that story about Rupa Goswami, there was a big debater coming into town, and he wanted to say, I've defeated Rupa Goswami, and he challenged him to debate, and Rupa Goswami was like, just give me the paper, and
You couldn't care less. You want me to
I'll
sign
just
over
sign
here?
it.
Yeah, you defeated me. You win.
You defeated me. And Jiva Goswami was upset, not for himself, but how can this person disrespect a pure devotee like my uncle Rupa Goswami? I'll go defeat him, not for any personal pride, but just to establish the glories of Rupa Goswami. I'm
Defend
nothing.
the
I'm
reputation
nothing.
of Rupa. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm nothing compared to him, and I can defeat you. So he went and he defeated. When Rupa Goswami heard about it, Rupa Goswami was like, that kind of pettiness, it does not. You can't get into Vrindavan with that. You don't belong in Vrindavan. Get out. And he banned him from Vrindavan. Right. So if we want to enter into Vrindavan, if we want to enter into the 10th canto, these stories, even though they just kind of popped up, until we got to Ambarish, which is going to take several chapters, the other ones just kind of popped up in a long list of names, but each one had this similar theme. There's something here for us to learn. Something here, something really important.
Very, very good. You can't get into the 10th canto unless you let go of pettiness.
Yeah.
It's a real petty world right now, too. People are petty about
man.
everything. They're getting in arguments with relatives or good friends. And we got to keep we got to keep we got to keep the conversation on things that actually matter. And most of us know nothing about politics. And even if you do, you still don't even know.
None of us have ever ruled anything.
None of us have. No, we can barely rule a household. And we think we have some great deep insight into politics or how the world works or diplomacy or what's going on between nations. We have very little intelligence in this regard. And we're trying to make these well, if I was in charge, if I was running things around here, it's like, give me a break. Talk about these things that we can control. We can control our anger. We can control our lust. How you doing with controlling your lust? How you doing with controlling your senses? How you doing with controlling your mind? How you doing with forgiveness? How are you doing with letting go of resentment? Are those good things? Before I start projecting my great outlook on how I would run the world, it's like, give me a break, people. And this is where the conversation goes to, and we start getting real petty, and we break relationships with good people. And oftentimes there are good people who have just been programmed from some other stupid news outlet that's trying to make you fight with each other because it gets good. It's like clickbait.
Yeah. In relation to what you just shared, where's the level of our conversation? I've been here now. I arrived here on the 19th of February. So that was like about 9 days, and then now it's the 11th. So I've been here for 20 days or so.
All right.
So 3 weeks I've been here, and in one sense it feels like a long time because, as you were saying yesterday, every single day here in Rishikesh Kirtan Fest is a festival, and you put it on day after day after day, and you have this team of people.
It's like a county fair that never ends.
The county fair, and they're living under austere conditions. They got these rooms that are noisy and really simple and bare, and quite austere. It's an old school. This is old school ashram.
It's an old school ashram. So the people that are helping out there, I just want to share that. It's an old school ashram, which means it's like a cement room with very little light. Back in the days when windows were small, and you're sleeping like either on the floor or on some stiff old mattress. There's no room for your luggage. It's not like what we're demanding out of a hotel room. Like, what kind of 300 square foot hotel room is this? It's like nothing. It's like ashram style. And
some of them are like, a lot of them are right over the road, like literally, like just over. So it's like they're very noisy. And, it's challenging to stay healthy under these conditions. You're constantly in big crowds. And, in order to keep it healthy, they have to wash the plates really well and dry them. And there's someone that does the laundry for everyone. You bring your laundry, you drop it off. It's an army. And there's so much potential, especially after you're doing it day after day after day after day. People get tired. People get maybe a little under the weather, that you start to snap. You start to fall apart. And but I don't see that.
Yet?
I don't see that. I haven't snapped, no. But I'm staying in a hotel room. It's like nearby. That's like much more comfortable. But I haven't snapped. But today was the birthday of two of the team members.
Oh,
And they saw to it that there's pizza, there's a special cake, all served out, pasta. And, when those devotees, at a certain point, the other devotees, everybody's in the room together taking prasad together, and everybody's in good spirits,
yeah.
even after all this time. And, and then they started, wishing happy birthday to the different people and singing the song, and everybody's cheering and glorifying everybody else. And I'm saying these people have done it. Like they're under difficult circumstances, and they're all rising above it together in service,
Sure.
with their minds focused on pleasing Guru, pleasing Krishna, serving others. They're just rising above all the pettiness, all the potential arguments, all the potential tensions, and they're happy. They're beautiful, happy people. It's like,
You know what's really sad is I thought you were going to tell me how somebody snapped.
no,
But
nobody's.
instead of
you
you
were,
saying
you were
everything's
hoping for that.
perfect, I was like,
Who
oh, this is
snapped?
going to be good. A great devotee snaps. I want to hear about this. That's where my
Nobody's
mind goes to.
snapping.
No one's
Yeah.
snapping.
Yeah.
I'm
They-
snapping
Quite the opposite.
because you
They
hurt
all,
my feelings about
you know,
swimming. That's
they. I'm sorry. About that. They all look beautiful. They're still dressed really nice, and they look clean. And like
I
all the
know.
men, they wear the dhotis nice. They got these far out kurtas on. All the ladies are dressed really beautifully, and they're all just, they're not wearing down.
They're not
They're
wearing
still
down. It's
bright and
amazing.
shiny.
There's a
Yeah.
power in that type of austerity. When I stay in India too long, you can ask Mara. I just start getting haggard. I start getting haggard. My clothes look haggard. My face looks haggard.
Right.
My beard looks haggard.
As happy as I am here and as well engaged as I am, there's something in me now. 5 months are going by. I'm ready to go home. There's part of me that's ready to go. I'm ready to finish this out, and I'll do it full full throttle. But there's part of me that's saying it's gonna be nice to get home, cook my own meals. One thing about my house, even though it's in Manhattan, is quiet. It's really
Yeah, that's
quiet.
quiet. Yeah.
India's not quiet, no matter where you go, practically.
Yeah,
Well,
India's not
at least in a lot
quiet.
of places you go. So there's something in me, but I'm very impressed with these stories. I'm seeing how through bhakti, through devotion, and this is something that we're discussing also. We're talking about forgiveness. This is a powerful concept that forgiveness exists within bhakti. So if you have bhakti, you have forgiveness. You can't have bhakti and not have forgiveness because it's inside it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm seeing these people are absorbed in bhakti, and therefore they must be forgiving each other all the time, because you got to be bumping into each other left and right.
You got to be bumping in those situations when you're sharing a room in one of those
Yeah.
ashrams. You got to be in constant state of I take no offense. I take no offense.
Yeah.
Just like Maharaja Ambarish.
Yeah. All right.
Nice. Good
You
realization.
talk I like how you glorify a lot, like the early disciples of Srila Prabhupada, and how they were really surrendering and living austere lives, and because they were caught up in love for the Guru and love for they were just like caught up in bhakti. I'm seeing devotees do it now. I'm seeing really nice devotees do it now.
I'm listening to a lot of Prabhupada lectures about people who've spent time with Prabhupada in the early days. That's my thing
Nice.
lately. I was listening to Kalakanta yesterday,
Oh.
and I've listened to Sita a lot lately. And when you hear these devotees who are still around, whatever austerity they went through, and it was tough, and sometimes they felt like mistreated or something, they hold no resentment. And that is really one of the keys to staying on your spiritual path is whatever happens, I'm not going to be resentful about it. I'm just going to accept this.
Yeah.
This happened, and I'm going to move forward. It's that good attitude that you need in life, that you need in material life, that you need in family life, that you need in the workplace. You just need a good attitude. And these are all the essential things that the Bhagavatam talks about. And you really have to extract that. You just can't read these books and chant these mantras without having that attitude. This just greases the gears, so to speak, of our spiritual life. You have to let go of stuff. You have to forgive people. You can't hold on to resentment. You have to become tolerant. And you can't be critical. You can't think you have everything figured out and everybody else is in Maya. It's just not going to work. You won't be around very long.
Right.
And you won't have a good family very long. You won't have a good, business any longer. It's just not going to work. So when you hear these devotees speak, who not only still around, but they're still around with inspiring things to say. that's what they have. That's what they've embraced. And they're good people to follow. We need people like that. They're like the Lewis and Clarks of our movement.
I remember one of our first interviews was with Rukmini Devi.
There she is. There you go.
She kind of got into when she was like 16 years old in the Haight-Ashbury scene in like 1966 or something like that. 60 or 67.
Yeah, there was a whole crew of ladies and men. There were children. Prabhupada would be like, "Where are your parents?" Like,
so I, part of as I remember the interview I was at, she was sharing how, the movement, not that it's totally gone through, but it definitely went through a period where it was like women were really getting shafted a lot, not being appreciated. And I said, well, how did you get through that? And she said, I just developed the attitude that I wasn't necessarily going to go full on and confront it, but I was just going to work around it. I was just going to find my way to serve, And I think that's something like what we're talking about here. A lot of people say, oh, my temple president doesn't allow us to do this. Then find your way around it. It's like practically all my service has been around, like, for instance, since I started with the Bhakti Center. Bhakti Center isn't officially part of ISKCON. There's nobody in ISKCON, it wasn't like it had official endorsement and support and all that.
Right. It's sort of a separate
people that just did it. Yeah, that just had an idea and did it. Wisdom of the Sage is the same thing, It's like we just did it, and you can find, if you want to serve, you can find a way to serve. And
maybe that should be our subtitle now. Wisdom of Sages, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do what?
We did it. We just did
anything.
It.
Just do something.
Do something.
Anything?
Just don't complain. Yeah. All right.
Within reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, someone just, who is this? Karuna's mom. I heard Gauranga.
Just like someone wrote that question in the other day, like, I don't feel qualified. I'm not initiated, but we're doing kirtans at our house, and I want to start giving class in the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, just do it. Do it. Take that leadership role. And then people will appreciate you, and then they'll be like, oh, yeah, we should have been doing this. You can't wait around for... Anyway.
That's right.
We can just talk about this for hours. Let's... What?
Yeah, Tulsi Karuna's mom says, I heard Gauranga Prabhu say, and she's paraphrasing, that the key to the spiritual world is held by the person who annoys and frustrates us the most. That's an interesting way to look at it, right?
Yeah.
If I bear frustration, then I don't have the key.
That's beautiful.
Gauranga Prabhu popped in here last night. He's like Narada Muni, he popped into town and was like up on stage at that International Yoga Festival,
Have you been to the International Yoga Festival?
No, I'm busy and I don't even have time to go over there.
First of all, you got to cross the river. That's a whole trip in itself. You got to get down
you
to
can't just walk across like we used to, at least not up here.
You can't just like walk on water. Yeah, because one of the bridges. Anyway. All right.
We got to get into this show.
Let's get into this. So have the International Yoga people come to your thing?
Yeah, they're coming. Raghunath, the place is packed out. They gave out I think it was like 590 plates of prasadam yesterday. So that means there had to be at least 700, 800 people here yesterday. Just at nighttime. I had like 80 people coming to my class the other day in the morning,
It's amazing. I'm about to share something, but I'm not going to even go there.
But you're holding back?
No. It was like I posted one like really joyful kirtan on my store on my Instagram reel. It was at in Rishikesh, and then someone had something negative to say. So I went to this thing. They weren't letting my boyfriend in because he was Indian. It's only for white people. And I was thinking, that's not true. There were tons of Indians in. I was like, and I saw someone else write something back petty. Yeah, these guys aren't the real devotees, and they were criticizing Jumna Swami's people. And I was thinking, here's a bunch of people. They're sleeping in incredibly, austere circumstances. They're not getting paid for anything. The Swami's giving 100% of his life. His team is like the crack team of SEAL Team 6 of devotees They're cooking for free. They're getting donations. They're giving away saris. They're like, what more? What do you want them to do? Do backflips? They're letting in as many people as they can. There's a limit to how many people they can get in there.
And are you doing more? You know,
and
what are
you are just finding fault. Like, these guys aren't the real deal, but you guys are. You're coming to eat the food. You're enjoying the kirtan that's for free. You're doing everything else, and you're finding fault in it. It's like, come on, people, stop it. It's like, that's why philosophy, like what we're talking about right now, that's why that has to be taught with kirtan. Or else you can go to all these kirtans, but you can maintain the same critical, cynical mind. You can't just go to kirtans without understanding the philosophy, or you're going to keep this our consciousness, this Kali Yuga consciousness, snowballing in the mind, birth after birth after birth.
We need to hear about Prasadra. We need to hear about Sukanya, Nabhaga, Ambarish. And you know what? The words that you just said that this person posted, Raghunath, it practically mirrors Durvasa Muni. Alas, just see the behavior of this cruel man. He is not a devotee of Lord Vishnu, right? These aren't the real devotees, right? It's like the same exact thing. Who are you in Krishna's Leela, you know? That's the question, right? Who are you going to be? You're going to be Durvasa, you're going to be Ambarish.
So people, it's just really, it's amazing how you could find, and that's the interesting thing. You can be on your A game, and there's people that will still find fault with you.
You know, people say, "Oh, these gurus, they collect so much money. Look what he's doing with the money. He's just giving it all away, and like feeding people and creating."
I know. It's like, how is he living? He's like, it's not like he's up there with
luxury.
Living in luxury, sleeping the same way. He's like a 75-year-old man. You know, what are 75-year-old men doing like with their lives right now? They're playing golf somewhere, trying to make their life as cushy as possible. Yeah. You think it's fun to be out with 35-year-olds that are sort of like that have their own mental problems and their own issues. And they're dumping all their stuff on you, and you're trying to like float that boat. And
he goes every night. He goes and he stays there in the kirtan. Then he goes and he starts to feed the people. You know, he goes in the line and he just stands in line with everybody else.
Yeah, he's not asking for any type of any accolades. Yeah, he's in role. Like, Mara, you ran a catering business. The people that you hired to serve, it's like 18. No adult. You got to get like a bunch of 17-year-olds to do that. You know what I mean?
You had your daughter doing it, right?
You just had it. Yeah. It's like my kids were all hired by Mara to serve out to serve out food. It's just like, it's like a lowly position. Here you got this 75-year-old Swami who's given up everything so he could be the servant. It's not like he's like, "Hey, check me out, I'm serving. Get a good photo op here." Like sometimes celebrities do. Here's a picture of me serving out the hungry. It's not like that at all. He's just like, I want to be part of this. It's not like, even though he's a great kirtan leader, he's not like, okay, it's my turn, I get the headlining slot. He's sitting in a chair watching. He's just sitting in a chair watching and enjoying. It's quite beautiful.
And when he occasionally, every few days, he leads the kirtan, it's off the charts. It's so nice. It's so sweet. The whole place just explodes, Oh man. All right, we're gonna get in the Bhagavatam. We got 15 minutes.
Okay. Oh man. We just talked. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesh Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome in the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Timurandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, Text 48.
Okay, 1 second, Raghunath. 1 second. I think we need to read the purport to text 47. Let's read 47 and read the commentary.
All right, here's 47. Taking a trident in his hand and making the surface of the earth tremble with his footsteps, that blazing creature came before Maharaja Ambarish. But the king, upon seeing him, was not at all disturbed and did not move even slightly from his position. So yesterday we said that Durvasa lost it. And he pulled out a hair from his head and he threw it on the ground, and it created a horrible being that was about to attack Maharaja Ambarish. And Maharish, how did he react? Nothing.
He didn't even move slightly from his position.
Didn't flinch.
Yeah. So Prabhupada quotes this
go ahead.
important verse.
Narayana parasarve nakutaschana bibyati. A pure devotee of Narayan is never afraid of any material danger. Isn't that amazing, huh?
Yeah.
There are many examples of devotees such as Prahlad, who was tortured by his father, but was not at all afraid, although he was only a 5-year-old boy. Therefore, following the examples of Ambarish and Prahlad, a devotee should learn how to tolerate all such awkward positions in this world. Devotees are often tortured by non-devotees, yet the pure devotee, it happens. Historically, it's happened. And if they're not tortured physically, they're tortured sometimes mentally.
Okay.
You know, back in the days when we're walking down the street in a dhoti, you had some guy, screaming at you, "What are you, loser? Excuse me, would you like to buy a Bhagavad Gita? Get a job, get a life."
Okay. But complete this. I got some things I want to share.
Devotees are often tortured by non-devotees, yet the pure devotee, depending fully on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is never disturbed by such inimical activities. I think we should make everybody who listens to Zoom hit the streets for a day and distribute Bhagavad Gitas. What do you think?
Get tortured a little.
Yeah, just to, get Timothy Tucker, get the chief out there on the street corners of their local town. You get the chief out there in Newport, Rhode Island. You get Lori Pag out there. Hey, I've got a Bhagavad Gita for you. How would you like? And they're just like, leave me alone, lady. And like that, it hurt. What does it hurt? It hurts the ego. Oh, because we're all like wrapped up in ourself and our greatness. Not them particularly. They're actually very humble. But, the material conditioning is we're wrapped up in our greatness, and you have to really focus. I just want to do this to please Krishna. So, yeah, if you want to take me down, if you want to call me a loser, if you want to, tell me to get a life, I'm just going to deal with that because I really just want to give this Bhagavad Gita to you. And it makes you focus on what's actually really important, which is Krishna Seva, right? Yeah. And not getting my ego stroked repeatedly, like, "Oh, Raghunath, you're so cool. Raghunath, that was a great class. Raghunath, blah, blah, blah." No. It's when you get these people who are attacking your ego, that's when you can really lean into, who cares? This is Krishna Seva. Who cares what people think of me?
There you go. I was thinking, so in the commentary, Prabhupada is essentially saying that devotees are never afraid. And even though they often, did he say often? There are many examples of devotees.
Many examples.
Tortured.
Often tortured by non-devotees.
Yeah. And then he says that devotees are often tortured by non-devotees, yet the pure devotee, depending fully on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is never disturbed by such inimical activities. You kind of know something. I tell you, many, many times I had my life threatened. Many times. And both you and I have been tortured or attacked and beaten and abused physically, right? You got beat up by a gang. I got beaten up by a police officer, handcuffed and police.
It's like the people who are supposed to protect you were beating you up.
At least yours was a gang, right?
At least mine was a gang. Like, that's what they do.
That's what they do. That's what they're supposed to do that.
They were doing their duty. Beat up the innocent.
But both of us, and I say this with complete honesty, I felt no fear when I was in that condition. I felt no fear. And you say the same thing when you were in that condition.
I had no fear. But you know what? My realization was, it wasn't because I was like, I'm fearless, you can do whatever you want. It was one of those things like, due to a practice of taking shelter of Krishna. And what does that mean? It means this morning, sitting in the gym and just looking, chanting the holy name. That's my practice. Doing my puja in the morning. That's my practice. So when that, quote, so-called tragedy happens, it's your practice just to say, "Oh, Krishna, oh, Krishna." Yeah. And then what happens is, it's not just because I'm this stoic Marcus Aurelius, you cannot hurt me. It's not that. It is also Lord Krishna now entering my mind in times of
Yeah.
great tragedy. And this is what I'm convinced, Prabhu, is
What?
that what sometimes we hear about a horrible death, a devotee dies in a car accident, or something that's not like this. I was laying at Govardhan Hill and I left my body, in peace with all the
Romantic.
devotees chanting. Something like a car accident, some tragedy, someone gets killed. I'm convinced that Lord Krishna enters into the mind of the pure devotee, just like Jatayu. He got his legs cut off, Yet how did he die? He didn't die by embracing Lord Ram. And so there is this special mercy factor that Krishna enters the mind of the devotee and he takes away that fear. It's not just the devotee being a stoic. And I'm sure that's what happened to you.
Okay. I'm with
that
you.
cop was kicking
I
your
think
butt.
that's what happened to you.
I think I definitely happened to me. That example of me getting my butt kicked by that gang, that was the most. There was no Bhagavatam class, kirtan, pilgrimage that gave me more faith in this process than getting my ass kicked at 2 a.m. in a ghetto in Buffalo, New York. That was the biggest blessing. May it not ever happen again, but that was the greatest blessing I ever got.
All right. Oh, man. Nice, Raghu. Thank you. Okay, text 48.
Text 48. So isn't it interesting? For a devotee, even the most tragic things become wonderful.
Achuta shared this. He said that he was selling books like that, and he turned around and literally bumped into this tall man with a beard, glasses, and dressed like a professor at the university. He looked down at me, and with a coy smile slowly spread across his face, and he said, "Krishna is not God." I just turned around and started walking away. He began yelling at me. "He married 16,000 wives. He killed his uncle. He is not God." It's like, dude, you got issues, okay? It's like, actually, those things prove that he is.
It is so funny. That's like right out of the Bhagavatam,
Yeah.
When you hear like Jarasandha criticizing Krishna. How do you worship this coward boy? No one knows who his parents are. Who does he think he is? He's, when you hate somebody
that much,
you cannot see any good they do. Also, that's another interesting thing. Whenever you're wrapped up in hate, if I hated you, God, I will never hate you. But if I did hate you, then even the wonderful things that you do, I can't see it. Oh, he's doing it with some other motive.
Yep.
It's horrible.
It's funny that he accepts that he married 16,000 wives.
Yeah, he accepts the fantastic parts of Krishna.
All right.
He was a little boy and he killed his uncle, who was an incredible warrior. You accept that. Yeah, you're right. It does prove that he's.
Okay. Text 48.
Hate shows deep attachment, Dr. Nancy says.
Yeah.
Yeah. As fire in the forest immediately burns to ashes an angry snake, so, by the previous order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his disc, the Sudarshan Chakra, immediately burned to ashes the created demon to protect the Lord.
Oh, you froze up a second, Raghu, I think. Say that again.
As fire in the forest immediately burns to ashes an angry snake, so, by the previous order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his disc, the Sudarshan Chakra, immediately burnt to ashes the created demon to protect the Lord's devotee. So, because so Ambarish already had that disc.
That disc was given to him just to protect the kingdom. It was like, again, like when we're hearing about him, he just seems to be like in the temple all day long, and like
it's like he's just so blessed, like nothing can harm him. He's not even trying.
Nothing can touch
really.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he didn't even try. That disc just on its own said activate, and took care of it.
Some people have such good piety, such good fortune coming from previous lives that you can't take them down even if you wanted to.
Right.
As a pure. Okay. Should we go on? Upon what?
Upon seeing. Text 49.
The next text. Okay. Yeah. Upon seeing that his own attempt had failed and that the Sudarshan Chakra was moving towards him, Durvasa Muni became very frightened and began to run in all directions to save his life. So
Oh.
here Durvasa ended up throwing this powerful demon at Ambarish, but now the chakra has consumed that evil force, and now the chakra, as a being sent from Lord Vishnu, ultimately is now chasing down Durvasa, who, although a mystic, was a great offender.
It backfired on him.
Yeah, it boomeranged.
It boomeranged on him.
Yeah, karma's the boomerang.
Offending
a great devotee is an express train to ruining your spiritual life. Right? That is, that's the way. You want to wreck your spiritual life? Offend devotees who have dedicated their life to spreading the holy name. That's the number one offense against chanting. A lot of times when people fall away from bhakti, we tend to think, they say, well, yeah, I wasn't into it anymore. Maybe, or maybe the reality is you're offensive. And then Krishna actually kicked you out of that sacred circle. That's generally what happens. We might have this old, the institution was like this. The devotees were like this. The people were like, You don't understand. Once you've entered the circle of spiritual life, there's like a protective thing around us. Krishna's divine energy, which is very subtle, brings you closer and closer and closer. But once you don't go with that flow anymore, once you lose the humility, you start finding fault with people, Krishna kicks you out of the circle, and he gives you Maya covers you and gives you an excuse for being out of that circle. Oh, those devotees, they were narrow-minded, or they were too fanatical, or they come up with 1,000 different excuses. You are personally kicked out by Lord Krishna outside of the circle. And when you want to come back inside the circle, it's got to become in a type of humility. And unless you have that, because you can't approach God without that deep humility, period.
There you go.
You can't approach God with that deep humility. You have to shed that arrogance to let you in. And once I get a little arrogant and start finding fault with everybody else, out of the circle. Out.
Get out of the circle.
You get out of that circle.
Once you go exactly where you just said, Raghunath, you can start to make the most irrational decisions. Like, for instance, here's a tradition based on sacred texts that go back 5 millennia or really more, right? With incredible depth of philosophy, with centuries and centuries of great philosophers expanding on those teachings and explaining them and defending them, with a culture that grows out of it, of the most incredible architecture, the most incredible arts, with thousands and thousands and thousands of years of people practicing it, benefiting
dance,
from
music,
transforming
food.
it, all this stuff. And then we say, well, I walked away from it because this person didn't treat me nice. It's like, what? Like, come on, put them on the scale. It's, how did that suddenly weigh more than everything else?
I'm going back to my old lifestyle, which was really rich with. It's actually sad, but in that way of thinking, it's just like it's the reason why we're in the material world in the first place. I'm right, everybody else is wrong.
Right. All right, Raghu. I think we ran out of time. Good show, because you forgave
I'm all worked
me.
Up.
Now
I'm worked up, Mara.
You got to go swimming. Go swimming right now.
That might be a good time for you.
Because you forgave me right at the beginning of the show, I think we had a good show. Thank you, Raghunath.
Thank you. Apologizing. I was a little in lockdown mode. It was hard for me to do that.
It was all right. No,
I was hurt.
It was insensitive what I said. It wasn't encouraging. I should have been encouraging.
It was a little insensitive. But maybe you didn't understand. I was struggling a little bit.
I didn't know you were that sensitive at that point.
Yeah.
But
trying to make some good choices. I was thinking about taking a lifeguard course.
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
Lifeguard.
It might help you get over your. You have some fear of the water.
I got some water. I think I died in the water.
Really?
In a previous life.
He always has nightmares about waves, big waves.
Is that why, like, you don't always take me to the lake when I go up there? You're like a little hesitant.
I got some water issues.
Yeah, we got to work that out.
Water issues. So I'm thinking about challenging that by becoming a lifeguard.
And you like work as a
lifeguard? I'm actually
lifeguard?
not going to be a lifeguard. I just want to be able to like have. I don't know. It's like I'll never be able to master the water. You know what I mean? And someone's writing on the message board. It's not because I almost drowned. no road rage, not because I almost drowned in Brazil. That's part of it. That was bringing me. No, the trauma was there much before. I don't know what it is. Anyway.
All right.
Swimming.
Ready for some takeaways?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, Ishvari Sundari just reminded me on the message board that the Youth Sage Group's registration will start this Saturday, March 15th at 9 a.m.
Nice. Get your kid in those.
Get your kid.
Maybe we can get.
We're going to experiment with your children.
What could go wrong?
And I love Henry's positive message of the day. Life is trauma. Henry Shulkoff.
We got Martine. Martine says, yes, go swimming is such a wonderful way to release. I could see Martine, like, I could see her like swimming a lot. I could see her with that cap on, just like going for it,
Martine, yeah, I could see that too.
Racing even.
Yeah. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Should we do our takeaways?
Yeah. I'm going to do I'm going to do a little
masters.
youth camp this year, a teenage youth camp this year for Rocco and his friends are coming up.
For real?
Yeah, for like 10 days.
Look at you.
10 days, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Mara's like, 10 days. Really?
10 days I'm cooking for a bunch of kids.
Teenagers.
All right.
They're actually the sweetest kids.
We need the takeaways.
Okay. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong.
This hot chocolate is so good, Mara. I just got to hand it to you.
Thanks. All we can do is work on ourselves.
I'm ready to take on the world after drinking this.
An apology is owning what you've done and letting go of the rest.
Let it go.
We must forgive for our own sanity.
Yep.
Let go of the pettiness to enter the 10th canto.
Ooh, me likey. Let go of the pettiness to enter the 10th canto. You can't just read these books. You got to live these books. You can't just read. It's not a story. We want a story. I want to hear a story from ancient India. This isn't that. This is entering into the story. This is a matter. You're reading like the Iliad or the Odyssey. You're like, I want to be a knight. I want to be like on a horse. I want to challenge one of the gods. This is you're entering into Krishna's pastimes. It's much different than just a story.
Nice.
Kaustubha's not impressed.
Nice.
But
nice. No, nice.
Okay.
Find your way around the roadblock to serve Krishna.
You work around it. She said it was like a river.
Oftentimes we read books. We just want to say, "Hey, look at the books I've read. Here's all these books on my shelf. I've read them all." Oftentimes, that's why we're reading these books. It's only for our own ego. This means you have to actually shed the ego, and you have to actually enter into this, and then you become an extension of the Q&A that's going on in the Bhagavatam. Huh?
Okay.
An extension
of the Q&A.
Offending a great devotee is the express train to wrecking your spiritual life.
It's crazy train.
Martine posted a squirrel.
Seems like you're reading the chat board instead of listening to takeaways.
Listen to the takeaways, Raghu.
You can't approach God without humility.
Uh-huh.
And you need a good attitude to grease the gears of spiritual life.
Grease the gears, people. That's our takeaway today. Keep it simple. Grease the gears. You know what we're talking about. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Woo-hoo-hoo. Memorial Day weekend, Wisdom of the Sages. It's happening. Contact Mara if you're interested about that. Also, check out my website, Raghunath.yoga, because we're mentioning our YTT for January next year. We're going to have our Wisdom of the Sages in India next year. And
you want me to do
our Kirtan
Bhagavad
training
Gita next year, right?
Next year, Kaustubha is going to do Bhagavad Gita.
All right, because you've asked, I'll do.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And my pilgrimage is happening October 29th. Prayag, Rishikesh, Haridwar, Jaipur. You know what I'm going to do in Jaipur? I'm going to make peace with that hotel owner. I'm going to let me get the uncles together.
Raghunath, you know what this reminds me of?
What?
Was I remember? So in Vrindavan, in the markets, in the bazaars down there, there's sometimes these families, like, they fight and they have one shop practically next door to the other one and they never talk to each other.
With the same name.
With the same name. And
the same
so,
name.
in
'Cause they're
in
brothers.
one year, you and I were visiting one of those shops. It was new. Like they had this one shop forever, and then there's another shop with the same name almost next door.
We won't mention
And,
the name.
and we were kind of assuming, oh, they expanded. And then you were talking to them behind the thing, like saying, yeah, did you guys expand, or like you guys fighting with each other now? And you said it kind of like a joke. And then they kind of didn't laugh, you know. They're kind of like, yes.
Yeah.
And that's when we knew, oops, got another family feud
Yeah,
on
these
our
are
hands.
as simple as we talk about these stuffs about envy and anger and jealousy and resentment. These are the things that actually wreck our joy. They're joy wreckers. They're joy wreckers. That's a takeaway.
Is it too late for takeaways?
Joy wrecker t-shirt.